Another super thanks from CJ DeYoung III to begin today's mailbag. In all seriousness, where do we not have a need? We all know the dill holes who run this team won't make any moves in free agency. Not enough draft picks to fix all the issues that Jones have created. Our highest paid QB can't carry the team when needed. The franchise is a joke, and there's no hope in the foreseeable future. Thanks. So I'll go in order here. Not have a need, kicker. Everything else at some level, you need something, even just depth. You need something. That's not unique to the Cowboys, but that's where they're at right now. You don't have enough draft picks to fill all your needs. You have to spend in free agency. And if you don't spend in free agency, the hope is not going to be there. Because if you don't spend in free agency and enter the draft with like 5 or 6 like real needs again, I can't fill all those needs. And the results are going to be really disappointing again. Now, this came in via Super Thanks, the feature on YouTube. Allows you to donate outside of live videos. Click the thanks icon, edit your message, send in your support. We appreciate it here. Even if it's F you, Tom, we will feature you on the show. Just don't commit ism. That's a super thanks. From Rita Wife, these 304 is a super chat. Would you draft Banks at 12? You're funny. Thank you. I hope it's like funny, haha, not like funny laughing at me. But either way, it's who cares? I would consider it. I think a good way to frame this question, with the way I think this draft class is going to go, is would you take the second best offensive lineman with the 12th pick? That could be Josh Simmons. That could be Armand Membu. That could be Kelvin Banks. That could be Will Campbell. There's not a lot of consensus in this draft class. You look at the receivers. Would you take the number 2 receiver at 12? Possibly. That could be Luther Burden. Emeka Buka. Could be Matthew Golden some. So I think it gets a little bit tricky. Would you take the number 2 corner? Could be Will Johnson. Could be Jahdae Barron. I think if you like Banks a lot and have a first-round grade, which I might, by the way, we'll see. I want to get the testing through first. I would not be opposed to it. As long as it's the best player on the board. That's the main thing I want to try to do this year in round 1. Hunter M. Tom, what is your nightmare 3-round draft scenario? I don't know. Like, you can't, like, all the first-round grades on your board are gone. No one wants to trade up. And you take a guy that the general consensus doesn't view as a first-round grade, and you reach on him. You know, maybe that's like they take a receiver, but they didn't have Boot Burden as high as that. They had, like, Matthew Golden high on them. You pass on a running back in round 2 because you think there's great depth, and you take a defensive lineman that ends up not working out again in the second round, or a tight end for some reason. And then you don't get a running back in the 3rd round either, with or without Rico, because you just missed on the premium guys. And then you don't trade up into day 3 to get your running back again. You do the exact same mistake you've made multiple years in a row. Dallas Sport Fanatic. If the Cowboys keep Rico, are you still drafting back like Jeanty or Hampton early? I'm still very much open to. I think it makes sense. I don't want to make Rico a 250 carry back. I need somebody else on that team. I want to be a more heavy rotation. I loved what Rico did relative to expectations. I want someone with more juice. I do think like Rico Dowdle, Trayvon Henderson, I think that duo works. I think that's a good combination in the backfield. I actually really like that idea. But if I don't pay Rico and I lose him in free agency and I'm out there with Deuce Vaughn, Lipke, and Malik Davis, I'm drafting 2 backs. I got a big need there. So will the Cowboys draft their running back this year? I think they have to. Y for yes and for no. Go vote the pinned comments of today's show. Thurman Well, should we look for one of the better QBs in the class to be our backup in round 2? I think if we could get Ewers or Gabriel at 44, we should do it. I think there's a good chance Ewers is there. I would almost guarantee Dylan Gabriel is there. In fact, I would almost guarantee Gabriel is there in the 3rd round and maybe the 5th round. I don't want to take a quarterback on the first 2 days. I don't think the value is good. I don't like this quarterback class. I don't want to spend. I've got 3 picks that I can maybe find instant starters. I think that's 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. Maybe there's only rotation guys for one of them, but still. I don't want to waste one of those on a guy that, in an ideal world, doesn't play for me at any point in his contract. I don't think that's good asset management. Jenkins Gaming. Thoughts on Dallas getting wideout Stephon Diggs this year? Might be cheaper than Higgins. He will be cheaper than T. Higgins. I promise you that. I would not be surprised. His brother's here. He's a free agent coming off the injuries. The Cowboys love to win the deal more so than at any other point with the Diggs Cowboys rumors. Now it makes more sense. From Chris Alston, I think I got that right. Trade for DK Metcalf. Maybe. DK, let me double check the contract here too. I think he's kind of plateaued as a football player. He is not, he plays a bit finesse for somebody of his size. He's fast enough that it's not really that big of a deal. The Seahawks kind of need to make a decision with him because they've got a $31 million, almost $32 million cap charge coming his way. The Cowboys could trade for him and owe about $18 million of that. It's not that bad. It's doable. I would not be surprised if he gets shopped. He fits the outside vertical threat I think this team needs. Maybe you can work out a 2 or 3 year deal. I also wonder just how much DK Metcalf wants on a new contract because that might be a sticking point. I do think you need to get another wide receiver. How do you want to get that wide receiver help? D for draft, T for trade, F for free agency. Get it? Gianni Chacon. Hope I pronounced that right. If not, I'm terribly sorry. Why would we trade Micah and take our chance in the draft? Why aren't we tired of not making it to the Super Bowl? He's making an impact on the defense. I think the pitch you'd be able to make is, hey, we're getting assets and setting ourselves up better for the future. But I do mostly agree. I don't think you're going to be able to find a Micah Parsons very easily. They exist. They happen. But they're not exactly easy to find players. In fact, when you took Micah Parsons, you did not think you were getting a Micah Parsons when you took him. That's not what you thought was going to happen. So I am of the mindset that I have a rare player who's on the path for the Hall of Fame with the start he's had. I will pay him and figure out the easier, in air quotes, stuff later. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. They got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It is curation to make it simpler to get the best price on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between. Keep an eye out for the super deal, like that one right there. It is the best deal for any given event. The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find those tickets in the same section and row for less. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, all guaranteed. Hunter M, ideal, realistic defensive tackle free agent signing. I assume this is if you lose Osa. I don't know how realistic it ends up being because it's free agency and weird stuff happens. How about you sign Javon Kinlaw, who comes over with the Jets with Aaron Whitecotton, his D-line coach, and like Poona Ford. How about that? You get a big body on the interior, you get a 3 technique, and you draft somebody else in the top 75, top 80. I think that's doable. Jenkins Gaming, BJ Hill or Osa. Hill's going to be cheaper. He's older and not as productive. Osa's going to be more expensive. Cowboys like their guys. I do think BJ Hill is a pretty decent fallback option if you lose or miss out on keeping Osa. We will have multiple Cowboys videos for you every single day throughout the offseason. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. From Lance Dunbar's burner, would our past few seasons be the same or different if we'd been able to draft Dallas Goedert? I don't think it would have mattered. In fact, I think it would have been a worse place on the offensive line. Your tight end play has been serviceable enough. And by the way, I know the Eagles thought that the Cowboys were going to take Dallas Goedert. They wanted Connor Williams. They did not get sniped by Philadelphia. They were going to take the offensive lineman from Texas with that pick because they needed an offensive lineman more. They were going to make that pick. It made sense why Philly jumped them, but Dallas wasn't actually going to make that pick. From Troy, how low would you go in the first round if a trade is proposed? Again, it depends on who's on the board. And what, first round, high second round grades, first, second cheater round grades I've got there. But I think you can move down 10-ish spots, and I think if your top guys are gone, if Jeanty and the offensive lineman and Graham and all the top, and Ted McMillan, if all those guys are gone, I do think trading down and getting more assets does make sense, which we will do that mock draft idea on a future show. Ralph Lawrence, trade for Deebo Samuel. The Deebo contract's really weird, by the way. There's a big option bonus. The Niners have restructured it. It's kind of a bad spot. Also, he looked kind of heavy again. He's looked heavy for like a year now. Have you seen those photos, Stone? He looks like he's got my gut. Looks like he's always wearing a flak jacket. That's not a good thing. So I think if he gets cut, we can revisit. But I don't want to trade for him right now. Even though I think a Deebo type player would be useful. I want you to name a player who you want to trade for on today's show. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. And we'll wrap up with a couple of different super chats here. Joshua will be mired in mediocrity until Dallas stops being cheap. It's been over a decade since Jerry made a real splash in free agency. Brandon Carr. You are right. They will not get to where we want them to get unless they spend more money in free agency. I would argue this year was mediocre. The past couple years were not, but you are trending towards more of the same this year if it continues. Noah Turner. Would you go after a Trey Smith or a Will Fries? Trey Smith's going to be out of your price tag range. They're not going to pay him $21 million per year. They're just not going to do it. As good as he is. Will Fries is probably still going to be too expensive for you, but that is a higher level name, I think, that you could try to pursue if you wanted to get a good, reliable, instant starter upgrade along the offensive line. Gianni, what about a James Conner trade? They just paid him in Arizona, so I don't foresee them shopping him. At least not to the cost that it would make sense for you. Like, if you blow him away and give him a huge pick, sure, but that's not really the point of doing it.